These guys are ridiculous. These guys are ridiculous.
Now, how about them damn Celtics?
This is only going to further my standing as a quote-unquote Jaylen hater, which people like to call me. But from the way Jaylen's been playing, and someone said this in the Celtics blog chat, so I'm regurgitating a little bit. He has become one-dimensional. He just has. He's a scorer, right? He doesn't really do, and he's one of the best scorers, right? And he's a solid rebounder, but he's not a good passer. He has not been a good defender this year. Objectively, like off the ball, on the ball, he's just not been a good defender this year, which he has been in years past, which is concerning. And when he gets the ball, especially in that Minnesota game, like before he was hot, even you just knew he wasn't going to pass, right? Like you saw him catch it, and you just knew it was going to be a shot, whether it was a layup or was it should be something else. I've seen talks, or like I've seen this discussion popped up of, in hindsight, would you have rather made the Kevin Durant trade?
Oh, I've asked the question.
Yes.
Have I asked it on here?
I don't think so.
I think I have.
I think it's as much as
Jaylen
is younger, Jaylen is solid, but like you've seen how KD's been playing this year. You see how Jaylen's been playing, and everyone loves to point out, oh, he's career high scoring numbers. Like, what do you mean? He's shooting, like he's scoring so well. Yes, he's scoring so well, and yes, he's averaging more rebounds, more points, and he's shooting very well from the field because of his red hot mid range. He's shooting a career low from three. So let's not act like he's this red hot 3-point shooter. He's shooting a career low on a career low attempts, or I'm sorry, a career high attempps. His free throw shooting is
combinations.
Yeah, his free throw shooting is better, but it's still below 80 now, thanks to his awful performance from the line against the Bucks. Right? His assists haven't improved in 3 seasons of him having more of a role in the offense. And so the question is, who would you rather have on this team right now, Sam? Like, I know it sucks.
You just put me through the grill 5 minutes ago.
I know, but let me ask you right now. I'll say it clear as day so I can make it a short. I'm just going to say it again for the sake of the short. Who would you rather have on the Celtics team right now, Jaylen Brown or Kevin Durant? Because not to go all Stephen A., but I know what my answer is.
All right, well, here's the thing. Jaylen Brown has had a really bad 2 weeks. Okay?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Really bad. However, before that, he had a remarkable start to the year. And he has begun to turn it around. This is 5 quarters in a row where he has been effective.
Mm-hmm.
I think that has to do with confidence. I think it's very difficult for him to score if he doesn't believe in himself. I think we saw that. So I'm going to say him just because of the longevity. You're going to have him. He's younger. All the things you said. But also, as a whole, he's had a good season.
Sure.
Lately, he's been very rough. And I agree. And I have the same frustrations as you. And I've had the same thoughts of, I sure would love KD on this team. But, I don't know. It's not worth it.
See, I hate like talking about this because I know I'm gonna get.
You brought it up, Mister. I want the clicks on my short.
I'm talking about like what I'm about to say. Because people love Jaylen Brown. People love there's 2 stars. People love the Jays and Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and me talking about this. I always say, I'm not a Jaylen hater. Like I just think he could be better. Maybe I'm turning into a Jaylen hater. Maybe it's happening. I think
because you are relentless.
Well, it's hard.
Controversy.
Jaylen Brown is the fill in the blank. Jaylen Brown is the best player on the Celtics. What is he?
Second.
Okay. He is 5th in plus minus, which I'm sorry. Like, I know you can say, well, plus minus,
plus
whatever.
Minus matters when you're an important player on a team. I agree.
He is 5th on the Celtics in plus minus. He is behind Derek White. He is behind Al Horford. He is behind Marcus Smart. And obviously, he is behind Jason Tatum. His plus minus is almost half of Jason Tatum's per game. It's 7.8 versus 4, right? meaning, and they share the court for a good amount of time, right? Like they're on the court a lot. So that means when Jason Tatum is off the court and it's Jaylen Brown and the rest, it is probably really not good, right? And we've seen that. Jaylen in the bench lineups don't work. Like, right? Am I right? Like Jason in the bench lineups are good. Jaylen in the bench lineups do not work. And I'm looking at cleaning the glass here. And you can look at, on off stuff like that, blah, blah, blah. On off efficiency in 4 factors, which I'm not going to sit here and tell you I can explain every detail, but it is a good way to show you, how good a player is, on versus off the court, their impact, blah, blah, blah. Like, I'll give you an example here. Excuse me, as it loads. The best for how many games would a team win in an 82 game season with this efficiency differential? Effectively saying, how much better does this player make their team on a night to night? And the prime example is Jokic at a plus 56 expected win, which is like ridiculous.
So basically what you're saying is Jokic and the boys out there in Denver.
which is absurd.
Is Luka next?
No, it's actually Luka is sitting at plus 25.
I'm not convinced that this is real then, because he's literally the only guy.
Some of these are also like this isn't like exact plus minus. Like, for example, Lindy Waters is second because he's played so few minutes that he's like qualifying on this big board.
I don't know what team that guy's on.
Exactly. But my point is, Jokic is in the 100th percentile. Luka Doncic is in the 91st percentile.
Okay,
Jason Tatum is in the 87th percentile. Jaylen Brown is down there chilling in the 17th percentile. He has a negative expected win thing on cleaning the glass, right? He is the worst Celtic on this list. Sam Hauser is above
fair.
Luke Cornett's above him. Noah Vonleh has a better expected win than Jaylen Brown. And of course, that's playing so many minutes. But my point is, I think it's gotten to... This is going to be a hot take. Because I think he obviously helps the team. And obviously he can play with Jason Tatum. They've done that. I'll defend that to the death. You can't argue with past results. But is he the perfect player next to Jason Tatum? No. He's not. He's just objectively not. Because, and I'll say this, if he develops a better playmaking game and with the ability to pass better, yes, he's absolutely the best player next to Jason Tatum. If he can get back to where he was on defense, if he can develop that willingness and awareness to make that extra pass on offense, absolutely he is. But with the way he's been playing this season, I would rather have Kevin Durant. Right? Like Kevin Durant has been objectively better than Jaylen Brown this season.
Yeah, I agree.
Do you see what he's doing with that Nets team? Kyrie Irving is back, so he has the help. But for the most part, it's KD and Kyrie with the boys out there, right? Like they have some,
not really.
Well, it's better than Luka, right? Like
Their
he has more
team's
than Luka.
Somewhat deep. They've got those two, Joe Harris. They've got Seth
Claxton
Curry.
is the only other player on the team averaging more than 10.
Okay, well, it's better. That's an argument.
And I
in theory, they have players that should be able to help them.
They do.
That's
they do. And they have solid players. Royce O'Neal has been so good for them this season. He's averaging like 10, 5, and 5 for them. He's been great on defense. But KD's averaging 30, 6.5, and 5 assists on 56% from field, 36% from 3 with, top-notch defense. Like, my issue, and this was always my issue with the Jaylen Brown KD trade things, is I wouldn't have given up Jaylen and Marcus, or Jaylen and Derek White, or Jaylen and you know what I'm saying? Like, I wouldn't have given up the and. But if you're telling me the Celtics could have gotten Kevin Durant for Jaylen Brown and like 2 first-round picks, I was never against it, and now I'm really, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's I don't know. Jaylen, maybe at this point you might just call me Jaylen hater, but
this is better for you in the long run, in my opinion.
Sure.
And I know Jaylen Brown has played. I think that the right term is kind of reckless, and I think that's why.
Yes.
The numbers
selfish
are what
I think
they
selfish
are.
is another good word.
I don't know if selfish is the right word. I think reckless is a better word. Unaware, maybe.
Like I don't know. He's just, from what I think,
selfish is a personality attack.
Sure.
The other two are play style attacks.
I mean, even he said it the other night in his post game. He's like, the only thing affecting the way I'm playing is me, right? Like, I don't think anybody else can stop me. But the only thing, like, I just don't think he has the mentality that he needs to be on this specific Celtics team, right? Like
I do.
What do you mean?
I do. I think he does. I think this is a very similar Celtics team that the team that you saw last year. I think he was a good piece to that team. He
Okay.
was pretty good in the finals,
Mhm.
right? He was better than Tatum in the finals. Yeah, he was.
Yes, sure.
He
Yes.
was. He's fine.
Although I think that gets blown up proportion a little bit, right? Like he was better than Tatum, but I don't think he was like, oh, Jaylen Brown was so much better in this one series. You know what I'm saying? Like,
No,
he
nobody
was
was
better,
really that much better than anybody.
but
They were all ass.
yeah,
They all choked. But he's fine. It is December, almost January.
I know.
It doesn't
I know.
mean that there isn't concern to be had.
He has been very
doesn't
disappointing to me this year, despite the scoring. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that you have unjust grievances.
Mhm.
It's true. What you're saying is true. Your points are all valid. Your article's valid. Your
Mhm.
arguments with people in the chat are valid.
Mhm.
But it doesn't mean that he's bad. It just
He's not
means
bad.
he's maybe a little off right now. And
Mhm.
he hasn't found his part.
Mhm.
He hasn't adjusted yet. I don't know. I think the thing about his mindset is more about his confidence than anything else, because really what I got out of those quotes is he was not believing in himself. I think he
Well,
realizes
he's
his
believing in himself
3-point.
enough to not pass the ball. Like, that's my issue. I think he believes he's not he doesn't I don't want to say he believes in himself too much, but he's just too focused on getting himself going. This is the same issue we had with Tatum 2
What's
years
his
ago.
career 3-point percentage?
Excuse me. His career 3-point percentage is 36.9%,
Okay.
37.
Okay,
Mhm.
fine. He shoots 37% from three for his career. This
Mhm.
season, he's shooting 32?
33.8.
34? Okay.
Yeah.
So it's definitely down. Now, when we were arguing and the Celtics were shooting poorly, and before then, I was like, they take too many threes. Do I think
Mhm.
Jaylen Brown takes too many threes? Yeah, I do. But I'll say this. Your argument back to me was they're still good shots. Now, that doesn't mean all of Jaylen Brown's shots are good, because they're not. But there are plenty of shots he should take and continue to take for his confidence. And
Sure.
I think
But
you saw him press
yeah.
in these recent games. Not that that's a good thing, but I think that's because he was losing his confidence a bit.
Press meaning like just
Like, try
forcing
too
the issue.
hard and
Okay,
force.
yes.
Yes. And I think that's why you saw the lack of focus. I think that's why you got
Mhm.
those post-game comments. And it could have been why Marcus Smart mentioned pressing, because it's
Mhm.
true. He definitely was pressing. It's good that he's making shots again. And I'm looking forward to seeing how that's going to affect his play style going forward.
Mhm. See, excuse me. I think the Milwaukee game was the perfect Jaylen Brown game. Sure, there were issues, he wasn't perfect, blah blah blah. But
It was like
in
the
terms
playoffs.
of in terms of his shots, he was letting his shots come within the flow of the offense. He's getting the ball from Smart. He's taking open threes. Blah blah blah. I think excuse me, where things go wrong is when he tries to get to the shots himself. Because let's call a spade, not that good driving through traffic. Just not. He loses the ball
No.
like consistently. He, I mean, as I pointed out in my article, he loves to take like within the flow of the offense, like pass, zip, zip, zip. He likes to take the shot rather than make the extra pass. And I'll get 40% of the time he makes the shot because he's a great player. That still doesn't mean it was the best shot the Celtics could have gotten, right? Like I believe in that sort of stuff. I'm trying to find the exact stat here, but excuse me, in the month of December, Jaylen Brown's let's see if the stats back up my theory first before I
This
start
is
talking.
always like the most like nerve-wracking part of trying to
my
pick an
excuse me.
angle.
My theory is effectively, I feel like Jaylen Brown has been touching, holding the ball too long for a lot in order to get to
Okay.
his shots. And I don't know how to find that exact stat, but my bet, which I'm again hoping I'm correct here.
Check dribbles.
Average touch per second. Never mind. I think looks like the exact
Can you
same.
check dribbles? Do they track that? I know they were talking about Harden's
average
dribbles.
dribbles per touch. Yes. So in the month of December, Jaylen, again, before this is like completely backfires in my face, we'll see. In the month of December, Jaylen Brown's average dribbles per touch is sitting at 2.88, which is more than Jason Tatum. The only players more with more on the team are the 4-point guards. Brogdon,
Okay.
Smart, Pritchard, White against the Bucks, and hopefully the stat doesn't glitch out. Last game, his average dribbles per touch, sitting at 2.82. Okay, it's the exact same. It doesn't it doesn't back one up. But you know what I'm saying though. From the way he got to his spots against the Bucks, it looked like it was more playing within the offense rather than, okay, I'm Jaylen Brown, I need to get going, let's do this. It seemed like he was more in control versus the first 3 games of that Timberwolves game where he was, again, let's call a spade, he was chucking. He was just letting go. And I mean, for a good stretch of time there in the third quarter, if he got the ball, he was not passing the ball. And it turned around in the fourth quarter, which was great. But this ends my Jaylen Brown hate for the day. Because
one thing I'd like to see from Jaylen Brown that I think we've really seen Jason Tatum get better at over the last couple seasons is being a great off the ball player. So you can really rely on Tatum as the roll man in the pick and roll. You've seen him and Smart play really, really well together this season. You're seeing him score off cuts. Jaylen does it too, because I was complaining about it the other day.
Not as often though, you're right.
I was complaining about it the other day, and he literally did it the next possession. But you're right, not as much.
That's the best, right?
So I think it would be a really great part of his game to improve on for him to be a more efficient and a better fit in this Celtics team. Not that he doesn't fit, but to be even better than he is now.
Yes, I know.
To amend these critiques that are valid that you have.
Excuse me. Absolutely. I know exactly what you're saying. My biggest thing has always been for me the just being more willing to make the extra pass. You know what I'm saying? Like that's my thing. It just feels like he stops the offensive flow and the offensive rhythm a bunch. And too often do you see a possession where it's Jaylen Brown gets the ball, dribble, drive into the paint, take a contested shot, right? Like I feel like these are the same issues that we had with Jason Tatum, like at the start of last year and like in the 2019-20 season. And I just don't think Jaylen Brown has gotten to that next step yet. And I'm not saying he can't, but like he just hasn't been able to develop as a passer as well as Tatum just yet.
No, definitely not.
Like
not yet.
Tatum's, again, in before the stats don't agree with me, but Tatum's assists, I'm pretty sure have gone up every season, right? Like he's just improved as a passer. They're a little bit down this year, but like from 2 to 3 to 4, and now he's, inching on 4.5 last year. But like he's improving as a passer, and Jaylen for the last 3 seasons, I guess Tatum's a little similar, but he averages more. And like the bench units are the perfect example. Jason Tatum being more willing to make that extra pass, being more willing to, facilitate. You can just tell the small differences. But
Jaylen's the ugly stepchild to you, man. He can't do. He can't really do anything right. Not that what you're saying isn't true. But it's really tough for him to look good next to Jason Tatum.
Yes.
Especially
I will say,
with the season that Jason Tatum's having.
Pure scorer, I might lean Jaylen. And that's crazy because Tatum's averaging more points. As a pure scorer, I'm talking like if you need someone to go down there and get you a bucket, I might take Jaylen.
I can see why you say that, just because he really does a great job at getting to that half circle.
You got to remember,
scoring from there.
Jason Tatum gets a lot of his points. He gets more free throws than Jaylen. He gets, more off-ball cuts, which, again, Jaylen can improve out, but Jason Tatum gets all those cuts more. He shoots a lot of threes, so he just gets more points. Like, as a pure scorer, you need a bucket, I'll take Jaylen Brown. But as a complete basketball player, I just think Jaylen needs to add that passing and needs to get back to the defense he was playing a couple years ago because it's just not there this year. But back to the reason I started the conversation. KD or Jaylen Brown? Yeah, we've been ranting. I think that was about all we had talked about. I mean, I'd say I feel bad for going on another Jaylen rant to get people mad at me, but I don't. I don't really care. You can hate me if you want.
Check Taco. Come on.
Taco's having some fun here.
That is bogus. These guys are ridiculous.